Ladies and gentlemen, please, please.
The man on the TV shouted as he stood behind a podium adorned with a presidential seal. He looked exhausted. His suit was rumpled, his eyes were bloodshot, his hair disheveled, and he hadn't shaved in who knew how long. He even admitted as much during a weak point in the news conference.
Folks, if you will all please quiet down, I'll be able to answer a couple more questions.
The White House press briefing room did not quiet down. Reporters shouted questions over each other, fighting to have theirs heard.
I do not understand what all of the fuss is about,
Sherry said as she muted the TV, then went back to mindlessly stirring her tea. She finally set the spoon aside and picked up her cup, sipping lightly, then frowning.
It's gone cold. You've been stirring it for 15 minutes now,
Eliza said, watching her friend closely.
Tea goes cold after a few minutes, you know. Does it? Gee, what an observation from the Queen of Ditzy. I swear, Eliza, I don't know how you managed to dress yourself this morning. What does that mean? I'm sorry? That comment you just made, what did you mean? The comment? About you dressing yourself? Yes. Eliza, it's a joke. Was it? Of course.
Sherry waved her hand in the air.
I mean, look at you. You're dressed, aren't you? You did it, girl. Go you.
Eliza narrowed her eyes.
Doesn't sound like a joke. It makes me laugh. Low bar. Oh, is that so?
Before they could continue, their phones erupted into a series of beeps, chirps, and violent vibrations. The two women eyed each other.
I'm not looking,
Sherry said.
You're going to make me look,
Eliza cried.
I don't want to look, but it could be important. Well, it could also be the same as the last one, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one... Yeah, I get your point. So what? So what? What? So what if it's the same message? I don't want to read it again.
On the TV, the White House spokesperson waved his arms over his head, trying to get someone to pay attention, but the room of reporters just continued shouting.
What does it matter if you read it again? It's vile, Sherry. Yes, well, I admit it is rather crass. Not my taste in emergency alert messages at all.
Eliza frowned, her face scrunched up, and she tilted her head to study Sherry.
You know, it's getting harder and harder to tell if you're kidding or not,
Eliza said.
You used to smirk when you made a joke. Now there's nothing. Dead, like a shark. That's what you think of me? I'd rather not, but if the shoe fits...
Sherry leaned forward, her elbows firmly planted on the table, her hands folded under her chin. She batted her eyelashes at Eliza. Eliza rolled hers in response.
You're saying these eyes?
Sherry batted her eyelashes again.
Are dead like a shark's? These beautiful baby blues?
Their phones erupted again. Eliza glanced at hers, then whipped her head to the side, changing her view to the ketchup stain on the kitchen's faded floral wallpaper.
No, your eyes aren't really dead like a shark's,
Eliza admitted, still facing the wallpaper.
But could you do me a favor and stop with all the quips? Quips? Jokes, gags. Gags? What gag have I played? Well, maybe gag isn't right. How about nonchalance in the face of doom? But you're hardly nonchalant, are you? You won't look at the message either.
Sherry sniffed loudly.
I don't look because there's no need to. It's the same message. You said it yourself. But how do you know if you don't look? And I could flip that around and ask you the same exact question.
Sherry reached across the table and grabbed Eliza by the chin, forcing her to face her.
Why won't you look either, huh? And don't tell me it's because the message is vile.
She pointed at the TV.
That's vile. All that bullshit they are pushing. Telling us that the messages are a hack into the system. That what they are saying isn't true. And can't be true because who could believe that something like this could even happen, right?
Eliza yanked her chin free and glanced at the TV. The White House spokesperson had his head in his hands and was shaking it back and forth as the reporters continued to pepper him with question after question after question. The phones chimed.
I'm not afraid to look,
Eliza said quietly. returning her gaze to Sherry.
I just see no need in torturing myself. We torture ourselves in so many ways every single day. What's one more torture on a pile of self-imposed hell?
Eliza didn't respond.
Well, I'm going to put the kettle on and make some hot tea. Enough of this cold crap,
Sherry said as she pushed back from the kitchen table and stood up. She stretched her arms as high as she could, then twisted back and forth until her back made a loud cracking noise.
Ah, there we go. Care for another cup? No, I'm fine,
Eliza replied, her attention back on the TV.
Huh? What's he doing?
Sherry asked, filling the electric kettle from the kitchen faucet. She turned off the water.
What was that? This guy,
Eliza said, and pointed at the TV. Sherry put the kettle on its base, plugged it into the outlet, and turned it on. Then she walked back to the table and fetched the remote, unmuting the TV.
None of you can possibly understand what it's like.
The spokesperson said, his hands pulling, grabbing, yanking at his hair.
Not you jabbering bunch of fucking monkeys.
Oh dear,
Eliza said, her hands going to her mouth.
Uh-oh,
Sherry said, and sat down without taking her eyes off the scene unfolding on the screen.
This doesn't look good.
All you do is bark your fucking questions. Bark, bark, bark.
He shook his head violently.
No, you're not like monkeys. That's not it. No, you're like barking dogs.
He stood up straight, then reached under the podium.
And you need to be put down like the fucking useless mutts you are.
The spokesperson withdrew a pistol and opened fire. Reporters screamed and panicked, the perpetual questions finally silenced.
This is happening,
Eliza whispered. Sherry reached out. Eliza took her hand. They entwined their fingers as the spokesperson continued to fire the pistol into the crowd of correspondents.
I'm going out on my terms, not theirs,
the spokesperson shouted before turning the pistol on himself, placing the barrel to his temple.
Oh no, they can't show it,
Eliza screamed as the spokesperson pulled the trigger, sending his brains splattering against the large presidential seal on the wall behind him. The phones chimed.
That's enough,
Sherry said, and turned off the TV.
We don't need to see anymore.
The water in the kettle bubbled violently, right before a loud click indicated it was ready. Mechanically and robotically, Sherry got up and made both of them cups of tea. She set Eliza's down in front of her, sat back down, and then began to stir and stir and stir. Eliza looked at the cup of tea she didn't want and sighed.
I should go home. Oh no, please don't,
Sherry exclaimed and grabbed Eliza's hand.
Don't leave me alone.
The phones chimed. Eliza winced.
I don't know that it's safe,
Eliza argued, not looking at her phone.
Because of this? What it says?
Sherry asked, snatching up her own phone.
Well, fuck this.
She turned the phone off, then got up and walked it over to the garbage can. With her toe, she pressed the pedal and the can's lid swung up and open. She dropped the phone in, let the lid close, and wiped her hands on her jeans.
Our phones don't control us,
and nodded at Eliza's.
What if the messages change? They may change. We'll find out eventually. I don't know. The phone is useless if you don't use it, and you can't use it if you refuse to even look at it, Eliza. So what's the point of even having it?
Sherry's voice was filled with frustration. She clenched her hands into fists and pressed them against her thighs so she wouldn't punch the kitchen wall. Eliza only stared at her.
Fine,
she said after a few seconds. She held her phone out to Sherry.
Good riddance, I guess. That's the spirit,
Sherry said, and took the phone, giving it the same fate as her own exile amongst the coffee grounds and banana peels, frozen dinner trays, and crumpled candy bar wrappers, not to mention the multiple used tea bags. Sherry sat back down, and the two women stared into their teacups until Sherry pushed hers away.
I think I'll go take a nap,
she announced.
What? I think I'll go take a nap. It's 4 in the afternoon. So if you nap now, you'll be awake all night. So? Well, I mean...
The two women looked at the garbage can. Eliza nodded.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter in the long run. If we get a long run, why wouldn't we? The messages? The messages only mean anything at all if we act on what they say. But look at us. We threw our phones away. The messages have no sway over...
A muted chime came from the garbage can. Eliza gasped.
You didn't turn my phone off? I thought you did before you handed it to me. Why? Did you see me turn it off? No, but why wouldn't you? Oh, I don't know, Sherry. Maybe because I've never thrown a phone away before? I didn't think about it.
The phone chimed.
Well, turn it off,
Eliza exclaimed.
Me? It's your phone. You threw it away. You didn't turn it off first.
The two women were standing, shouting in each other's faces before they knew it. Spit flew from their lips and landed on the other's cheeks.
Why did you even invite me over?
Eliza screamed.
Huh? Is this all a plan? A trap? You read the message and saw an opportunity. Is that it? What? You've lost your mind,
Sherry screamed back.
I invited you over because that's what friends do in a crisis. But maybe you have your own reasons for being here, huh? Maybe you came over because you're the one who saw an opportunity to get one over on me. That's why you're here, right? To take me out before I take you out? Take you out? What does that even mean? You know what it means. So what? You think I came over to kill you? How? By sitting at your kitchen table and drinking tea for hours? Or by panicking every time the phone chimes? Or by saying I'm going to go home? How can I kill you if I go home?
The phone chimed and they froze. That time, the chime was different. It wasn't the usual emergency broadcast system chime that everyone was automatically assigned. No, that time it was Eliza's normal text chime.
Should I see who it is?
Eliza asked.
Why? Who else are you expecting to text you? How can I know that? People text when they text. But who else do you know? Screw you, Sherry. I know people.
Sherry raised her eyebrows and Eliza sighed.
Okay, I don't really know anyone else except for work.
Her eyes went wide.
You don't think it's work, do you? They can't possibly expect me to come in today, can they? That would be nuts. No one cares about their taxes while all of this is going on. And I'm not even an accountant. I'm the receptionist. That would be kind of cuckoo to have you come in.
When Sherry didn't continue, Eliza studied her friend's face.
What? What is it? Well, you know what they say. What are you talking about? There are only two guarantees in life. Death and taxes.
Eliza's shoulders slumped.
You bitch.
Then she started laughing. Sherry joined in, and soon the two women were laughing and hugging and crying, then shouting at the garbage can as Eliza's phone continued to chime. Once they'd worn themselves out, wiped away the tears of laughter and fear from their cheeks, and each taken several deep breaths, Eliza opened the garbage can and fished out her phone, shaking the coffee grounds from the plastic case.
Oh,
Eliza said.
It's not work.
She held the phone up for Sherry to see. Sherry read the text.
Oh shit,
she said, and looked about the house.
Does he know where I live? I don't think so,
Eliza replied.
You moved a year after he and I broke up. There'd be no reason he knows your new address.
Eliza swallowed hard. Sherry held her breath. Then the two women sprinted out of the kitchen and raced around the house, making sure all the windows were latched and the doors locked.
Get the lights,
Sherry ordered. They raced around the house again, switching off room lights and turning off lamps. With that done, they stood in Sherry's foyer and stared at the front door.
What'd the text say again?
Sherry asked.
Hey baby, thinking about you during all this shit. Came by to see if you were okay. Where are you?
Eliza read. She looked up from her phone and frowned at Sherry.
Do we overreact? Maybe he's just concerned.
Sherry blinked a few times, then grabbed Eliza's phone out of her hand and marched into the kitchen.
Hey,
Eliza cried, scrambling after her friend.
The asshole crashed his car while blind drunk, while you were in the car with him, and then blamed you for letting him drink so much.
Sherry turned the phone off and threw it back in the trash.
Fuck him.
Eliza nodded slowly at first, then more vigorously as she thought about her previous relationship.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him,
they shouted together. A phone chimed. Both women froze. Then, like they were caught in some nightmarish loop, they slowly turned to stare at the garbage can once more.
That was yours,
Eliza said.
I know. It was your text chime. I know. Not the I know.
They continued to stare at the can.
But you turned yours off,
Eliza said when the phone chimed again.
I know. I watched you do it. I know. But how can... I don't know,
Sherry interrupted, returning to the garbage can. She opened it slowly, then gasped.
It's on top. What?
Eliza asked, and hurried over to the can. She gasped too.
It is, but how?
Sherry only shook her head. Eliza took a couple of steps back.
You don't think some of the things they are saying are true, do you?
Sherry slowly looked over at her, puzzled. The phone chimed again, and she jumped, letting the garbage can lid close once more.
You aren't going to see what it says?
Eliza asked.
Why? Did it help you when you checked yours? Well, we knew to lock the place down. But I don't have a psycho for an ex-boyfriend. My husband died 2 years ago, and I have been on 3 dates since. No unhinged lover for me, thank you. Then who is texting you? How should I know? Look at the message. I don't want to.
The phone chimed, then chimed again immediately after.
2 people?
Eliza asked.
Or just a second text from the same person? What do they want?
Sherry shrugged.
You really aren't going to look?
Sherry shook her head. Eliza nodded.
Okay, fine. Best not to look. If what they are saying is true, then... If what who is saying is true? You know, people on social media and stuff. People on social media and stuff? Since when, even in the best of times, is it a good idea to ever listen to people on social media and stuff? I know it's a cesspool of stupid,
Eliza protested.
But some people have some good theories. Good theories? Well, theories that could explain all of this. Let me guess. It's either the Chinese or the Russians. Are those the theories you're talking about?
Sherry laughed.
Well, no. I'm talking about the theories that, you know, think maybe this isn't natural.
Sherry stopped laughing.
Not natural? Yes. There's a word for that. I know. So say the word. It's just a theory. A theory that this may be caused by what? Something not natural? Something that's...
Sherry waited.
Supernatural,
Eliza said in a quiet voice.
Christ almighty,
Sherry shouted and threw her hands up in the air.
Has it really come to this? There are 100 bad actors across the world who thrive on seeding this kind of chaos. But you want to believe it's supernatural? Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't want to believe it. But you do. I'm not saying I do. I'm saying the theory makes as much sense as any other theory. Well, I give up then,
Sherry said, and sat down at the kitchen table. She grabbed her teacup, sipped, winced at the cold brew, then shrugged and downed the rest in 2 gulps, before setting the cup back down.
Fine, sure. Supernatural it is.
She clapped her hands together.
So what is it? Ghosts? Goblins? Ghoulies? Please stop making fun of me. Oh, come on, Eliza. You can't throw that out there and expect me to just swallow it whole without reservation.
She leaned back in her chair, throwing an arm over the back, her eyes fixed on Eliza.
I'm serious. What supernatural entity is doing this to an entire country?
Eliza shrugged again.
No. I want an answer. I can tell by the look in your eye that you want to say something, so say it.
Eliza shook her head.
You'll just be mean. I won't, I promise. Bullshit. No, seriously. I want to hear details of this theory. What evil is behind this shit?
Eliza shuffled her feet.
Hell. What was that? I didn't hear you. Hell. Hell? Did I just hear you say hell? Yeah, hell. As in Hades? The underworld? The Great Abyss? Abaddon? Abaddon. comes from a Hebrew word. I didn't think Jews believed in hell. Oh, we believe it, just not as a separate place from Earth. You think hell is on Earth? Yup, and it's called South Beach. Cute. No, really, Eliza, do you honestly think hell is involved in all of this? That what? The message was meant for demons or something? That Homeland Security and the pits of hell got their wires crossed, and the wrong message went out on the wrong system? That instead of warning all of us about an impending emergency, the message was actually meant to instruct demons that it's time to destroy all humans? See, you're being mean. I am not being mean. I'm being rational. The spokesperson for the White House, the person who is supposed to represent the President of the United States, just murdered a bunch of journalists, then blew his brains out on live TV. Does that sound rational? No, but it's real. We watched it happen. On the other fucking hand, I've never seen a demon in person, and I sure as fuck haven't been to hell and back. I haven't even been to South Beach. Neither have I. Then why believe this crap? Because I feel it in my guts.
Sherry was about to either start laughing again or start shouting again. She did neither, as both women nearly screamed when a loud knocking on the front door interrupted their freak-out spat.
Eliza, baby! Oh shit, it's him, Eliza gasped. How'd he find me? I fucking knew it. I knew he'd find my place. But how?
They both looked at the garbage can again.
God damn it,
Sherry said.
It can't be. Did you share your location with him when you were together? Yes, but I turned that off the second we broke up. You're sure? Yes, I obsessively checked over and over for like 2 weeks. Shit.
Once again, Sherry got up and went to the garbage can. She dug past her phone, keeping her eyes averted from the screen, and found Eliza's phone nearly at the bottom of the can, which made no sense. She held it up for Eliza to see. It was on.
How?
Eliza whispered. She took the phone from Sherry and scrolled to her settings. Then she whimpered like a kicked dog.
Location sharing is turned on.
She showed Sherry the phone.
See?
But Sherry wasn't paying attention. Her eyes were on her own phone and the messages that were piling up on the screen.
My brother,
she said, and slowly lifted her phone out of the can. The knocking at the front door grew louder and louder.
Eliza, baby, open up. I know you're in there. What do we do?
Eliza asked as she scrambled to turn location sharing off.
It's not working. Why isn't it working?
She shook her phone like it would jar some normality into it.
Turn off, turn off, turn off. They're dead,
Sherry whispered.
Eliza, open up. What?
Eliza asked, her finger jabbing uselessly over and over and over at her phone screen.
They're dead,
Sherry whispered again as she read her texts.
My brother says our parents are dead.
Eliza tore her eyes away from her phone and blinked at her friend.
What do you mean? He says they are dead,
Sherry repeated.
That he killed them.
Another chime and Sherry screamed, throwing the phone against the kitchen wall. She grabbed at her head and fell to the floor, pulling at her hair with both fists.
He sent a picture. I hear you in there. Let me in, Eliza.
The pounding turned to heavy thuds. The heavy thuds became loud cracks.
I'm coming in, Eliza. You can't stop me. Sherry, what are you saying?
Eliza asked, ignoring her own phone and her ex's wails as she crouched next to Sherry, pulling her into her arms.
What picture?
Sherry only shook her head. Eliza glanced at the phone on the floor by the wall.
Don't,
Sherry whimpered, clutching at Eliza's blouse when the woman started to stand up.
It's okay. I'm going to double check for you. I'm sure it was just a trick. You know your brother. He's meaner than you are. It's not a trick,
Sherry mumbled as she rocked forward and back, her arms wrapped around her knees.
Don't.
Eliza walked to the phone, bent down, picked it up, and was expecting to have to put in Sherry's code, which she knew by heart. But the phone was open and active, although the screen was cracked. Behind that crack was a photo of Sherry's parents sitting on their couch. Both had their throats cut, while Sherry's brother sat between them, his arms around his dead parents' shoulders, a huge grin on his face.
Eliza!
The sound of the front door splintering echoed through the house.
Eliza!
There was a huge crash followed by smaller crashes.
Eliza! He's in the house,
Eliza gasped.
How could my brother do that?
Sherry muttered, still rocking herself forward and back, forward and back, forward and back.
Sherry,
Eliza whispered, and tried to pull her friend up onto her feet.
Sherry, we need to go. Eliza, where are you? Come on,
Eliza hissed, yanking hard on Sherry's arm.
Get up, damn it, Sherry. Get the fuck.
The words died away as a shadow filled the kitchen doorway.
Hello, baby. You had me worried,
Eliza's ex-boyfriend said.
Alan, you shouldn't be here,
Eliza responded.
This is Sherry's house and she didn't invite... This is Sherry's house,
Alan asked, then faked wiping his forehead.
Phew. I thought maybe I'd find you with your new boyfriend and then, well, I'm not sure what I would have done next. Leave, Alan. When did Sherry move? I said leave,
Eliza snapped, while still trying to get Sherry to stand up.
What's wrong with her? My brother killed my parents,
Sherry said, in a quiet, monotone voice.
Seriously? Oh shit, that fucking sucks.
He shook his head, then stopped and pointed at the fridge.
You got any beer? Alan, you need to leave,
Eliza shouted, regretting it instantly.
What? You're too good to offer your old friend a beer?
He asked in a low, dangerous voice.
What's your fucking problem, Eliza? Why do you always think the worst of me? I don't, Alan. It's just that things are tough right now. You don't fucking think I know that, huh? You don't think I get what's happening? Have you been out there?
He jabbed his finger at Eliza, making her let go of Sherry and take a few steps back, even though he was still across the kitchen.
Have you seen all the bodies? Have you seen what people are doing to each other? Have you? Well, have you?
Alan's voice exploded with rage. His face turned bright red, and his head began to shake.
You don't know what tough is.
He raced towards Eliza.
No!
Sherry screamed and reached out, snagging Alan's left ankle. His feet tangled up and came out from underneath him. He fell forward, started to reach out, but didn't get his hands up in time before the bridge of his nose collided with the corner of the kitchen table. Blood gushed out, spraying the table and the floor as Alan collapsed to his knees, his hands on his face.
You fucking bitch,
he shouted through his hands.
I'll fucking kill you. Not if I kill you first,
Sherry screamed. She jumped to her feet, reached past Alan, grabbed a teacup off the table, cracked it over the man's head, causing him to let go of his nose and cry out. Then, without hesitation, Sherry took the broken edge of the teacup and raked it across Alan's throat. It all happened in the blink of an eye, and as the blood spurted out in an endless flow, Eliza watched with horror, her eyes going from her ex-boyfriend's bloody throat to the broken teacup in her best friend's hand. Everything was coated in blood. The floor, the table, Alan, Sherry, everything.
I can't be here,
Eliza said, forcing herself not to throw up.
I have to leave. I have to leave now.
Alan reached out to her with one hand, then coughed so much blood that Eliza lost sight of him for a minute as the air filled with a thick red mist.
Eliza!
Sherry shouted.
Wait!
Eliza raced down the hallway to the front door, where she found it in pieces. Alan really had done a number on the door. He didn't break the door down, no. He actually broke through it. Eliza didn't slow herself in time, and her right foot stepped on a huge piece of the door. Her weight sent the piece slipping out from under her shoe, and Eliza found herself falling to the floor, where she landed hard on her ass, and on a different, very splintery, very sharp part of the door.
Eliza!
In agony, with a chunk of front door lodged in her ass cheek, Eliza looked over her shoulder at Sherry as she walked down the hallway, her bloody hands held out in front of her.
It's okay,
Sherry said.
I won't hurt you. I would never hurt you. You killed Alan. It was self-defense. Self-defense. He was on his knees with a broken nose. His hands were on his face, And you cut his throat with a fucking teacup. You killed him with crockery. I don't think a teacup counts as crockery. Are you fucking kidding right now with that shit? Are you? Calm down. Do not tell me to fucking calm down.
Eliza tried to stand and nearly passed out from the pain in her ass cheek.
Oh, Eliza, what did you do?
Sherry asked and took a step forward.
Let me help you. No.
Still screaming, Eliza reached back, took hold of the end of the giant splinter and pulled. It came out with a horrible squelching and tearing sound. She stared at the splinter and the blood that dripped from it.
Please let me help you,
Sherry said, and rushed to Eliza's side.
No!
Eliza shouted and slashed out with the huge splinter. Sherry stopped.
Eliza?
She mumbled as her fingers probed the splinter that was jammed into the side of her neck.
Oh God, no, I'm so sorry. Oh fuck, shit, Sherry, fuck.
Eliza exclaimed, her words tumbling over themselves. Sherry wrapped her hand around the splinter and pulled.
No, wait!
Like a tap that had been turned on, Sherry's neck geysered blood in a high arc, splashing the ceiling with dark red liquid. Eliza watched it all as if the world had suddenly gone slow-mo. Her mind wondered why the geyser was shooting up and not out. Sherry fell to her knees.
Okay, I can fix this,
Eliza shouted and ran toward the kitchen. Or she tried. The wound in her ass tore even more, and she stumbled, hitting her shoulder hard against the wall, turning her right arm instantly numb.
Fuck,
she muttered, as she sort of dragged herself along the wall, using it to stay upright and keep some weight off her ass. With the wall as a crutch, Eliza managed to get herself into the kitchen. She tried to ignore Alan's body, which was impossible to do, and limped over to the counter, where she grabbed a roll of paper towels.
Hold on,
she shouted, managing to get herself turned around so she could limp back out of the hallway and use the wall again as a crutch. When she reached Sherry, the woman was on her side still, her eyes glazed and fixed.
Oh no,
Eliza said.
No.
Eliza fell to her knees, grabbed Sherry by the shoulders and shook her hard.
No, wake up! Sherry, wake up!
Sherry did not wake up. She was limp as an adult-sized ragdoll.
Oh God, oh fuck, oh God,
Eliza muttered over and over and over. Phones chimed in the kitchen. Eliza froze. Then she slowly picked up a very jagged, very sharp-looking chunk of front door.
You're right, Sherry,
she whispered.
I don't really know anyone.
She put the chunk of wood to her right eye and held it there with her right hand. Then she threw herself forward, keeping her left hand behind her back so nothing could stop her. Nothing could slow her down. Her entire weight was behind the motion, and when she hit the floor, the end of the wood chunk hit first, driving it through her eye socket and into her brain. Her body shook twice, then went slack. 3 phones chimed in the kitchen. Sherry's, Eliza's, and Alan's. Messages appeared on the screens after every chime, all reading, "Make them kill the ones they love most." From somewhere outside the house, far down the street, a man screamed, a woman screamed back, and gunfire erupted. Their phones chimed. All the phones chimed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to click subscribe and check out some more stories here.